Bow! Yes, we dare. Outdoor settings. I wanted to experiment. I wanted a raw setting for this one. Obviously, Kai Havertz to Arsenal from Chelsea. I'm not mad with it, and here's why. Chinksey Sports and Music podcast, the Arsenal podcast. I need to come up with a better intro still, but yeah, let's get into the video. Kai Havertz obviously has been heavily linked with Arsenal over the last, I say, week or so. Obviously, Chelsea have just announced the signing of Christopher Nkunku from Leipzig, which we knew that was pretty much done last year. So that's another attacking player that Chelsea have brought in, which is now pushed Havertz closer to the exit door, obviously, as well as the fact that Chelsea need to raise funds and trim their squad. Arsenal obviously need attacking options going into the next season, which is why I'm not mad with this still. I'm not mad with this still for several reasons, and I'll go into that in this video. Firstly, I think he's a good footballer. I think he's a good player. He hasn't really shown his best form in a consistent basis for Chelsea, which is good because I don't like Chelsea, and nor should any Arsenal fan. But yeah, aside from the Champions League winning goal, and I'd say he started off really well under Thomas Tuchel when Tuchel first came in. He hasn't really managed to show his best form, but clearly Michel Arteta has seen enough in him to feel that he can bring him into this team and get the best out of him and from him. And most importantly and most intriguingly is the fact that he can play in several positions across the midfield and attack. So I'm reading that Arteta believes that he can play in 5 positions. So I'm presuming those positions are number 8 position where Xhaka plays. Whether he's a direct replacement for Xhaka is another thing, because I think having him as opposed to Xhaka in the starting lineup would mean there's an extremely attacking side. So I feel like having him as a number 8 would depend on the opposition. Also, having him on the left wing, the right wing, false number 9, and in the number 10 position. So yeah, they're the 5 positions I presume Arteta sees him as playing in. For me, I feel because there's a lot of intrigue as to where his best position is. Whether it's as a false number 9, where he's been playing mostly for Chelsea, whether it's as a number 10, which is probably an outdated role nowadays. Not many teams play with a number 10 these days. Whether it's as a number 8, whether it's as a right winger, where he played a lot of his football for Bayer Leverkusen, and that was his main position there, and that's what got him the move to Chelsea in the first place for 75 million. So obviously, for him to have been bought for that amount of money, that fee, that outlay to have been spent on him, obviously Chelsea must have seen something in him. For me, he's a good footballer. He just needs to be played in the right system. He needs to have confidence, as most footballers do. And obviously, he needs, to have good players around him. I'm not saying he doesn't at Chelsea, but at Arsenal, he'll be in a young team. He'll be given a chance to flourish. I feel like he can force his way into the starting lineup. For me, though, I wouldn't say he is a winger. Definitely not for me. I like my wingers to have pace and directness and agility and speed. I don't think he has those things, but what he does have, what's in his favour, is the fact that he's got good ball control. He's tall, he's strong relatively, and he can kind of bring others into play. I feel like he'll dovetail really well with Martin Odegaard. Also, as well, I feel like he can play a decent. I think he can do a job as a false number 9 with us as well. You know what I'm saying? So you get me. Having him in would be really interesting to see where he plays. But the thing is now, is how much do you pay for him? Like obviously, I'm hearing Chelsea won about 70 to 75 million for him. I don't think they're gonna get that for him. But what I'll do is probably I'd go for about 50 to 60 million because they need the money. They need the money for him. They need to bring in and recoup as much money as they can, get players out, people like Mason Mount, Havertz, Kovacic. Those players will exit. Aubameyang, Ziyech, Pulisic, I can go on and on and on. So I feel like Chelsea will recoup a lot of money, but I hope, I don't know if I'm worried, but if we're spending 60 to 70 million on Havertz, it begs the question, what is the budget for this summer and how much are we willing to spend this summer? Because if we're spending, let's say, 70 million on Havertz, which Arteta will probably say is a player that can cover several positions, and then obviously it's no secret that we're linked with Declan Rice for about 100 million. We're also linked with Caicedo, although I don't think that will happen. I think he'll go Chelsea. We're also linked with Timber, Jurian Timber. And who else was we linked with? We're linked with a number of players. So unless we're looking to bring in some funds for the likes of Balogun and Ketia, people like that, where we can raise money, or even Smith Rowe, then it's either we're looking to spend about 300 million, which is what we want to see, really, if we want to compete with the likes of Man City, Liverpool, and AR. So it does make things interesting. Let's say if Havertz was our first signing of the summer, we bring him in for that amount of money, and then Declan Rice comes in. That's already what, 160 million or so, give or take. And then there's obviously gaping holes across the team, like especially in midfield. Obviously it's no secret that we need at least 2 midfielders, and that's without anyone leaving. Obviously, Granit Xhaka's linked with a move away. Thomas Partey's now linked with a move away. So it's like there's going to be a lot of ins and outs this summer, and we're probably going to see a few players that we didn't expect to leave. Yeah, Havertz is a good age profile as well. He's 24 years old. I feel like his best has yet to come. Obviously, he's got Premier League experience, so all those things are on his side. And obviously, it's clear that he wants to come to the club, which is what we want. We want players that want to play for Arsenal here. Where do I see him playing? Well, in a 4-3-3 system, we already have Martin Odegaard, likely to have Declan Rice. You can see a slot on the number 8 position, but I feel against the better teams, having him and Odegaard in the same team as a centre midfield would be probably too attacking. So ideally, you'd have him probably off the right, or in a 4-3-3 system, you would have him, to get the best out of him, you'll have him as a false number 9 in place of Jesus, or you could have a Jesus across the right, Havertz in the middle, if you want to rest Saka, that is, because Saka's going to start, especially the way he played yesterday. So the first team with the new signings we're linked with, probably Havertz just misses out, but that's not to say he can't play his way into the team. Don't forget, we got people like Trossard as well, so the bench is automatically stronger with people like him, Trossard, Smith Rowe, Reece Nelson, and obviously I feel like the main reason I think we're bringing him in is the fact that I don't think we are going to get I don't think we're going to get a more traditional number 9. So obviously we're gonna kind of counteract that by just getting a player that's versatile, that can play there in multiple positions and can do a job in multiple positions with Premier League experience. So I think that's why the club are willing to outlay such a large amount of money on him. Obviously, a lot of the fan base aren't happy about it because they're seeing it as another Chelsea reject. They're seeing it as, he hasn't really done much at Chelsea. He hasn't really, do you know what I mean? He hasn't really excelled there. So why are we kind of taking him? But obviously, Arteta obviously sees something in him and obviously trusts his ability to squeeze the best out of him and get the best out of him and for him to produce. So it should be interesting to see, because I do think this deal will get done, and it's likely that it will get done this week, probably as our first signing of the summer. So that's an interesting one for me. But yeah, it's one that I'm not mad with. I do think that he could excel at a club like Arsenal. Yeah, the main thing is to just get behind him and obviously hope that he can fulfill his potential here.